Namaste and welcome to Daily News Simplified, the what, why and how of newspaper reading. Today we would be analyzing the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper of 21st March 2018. Now let us begin. Now we have taken this article from page 7. Now the first thing that we'll understand from this article is why is it in the news? What is the European Copernicus program? And what is the role of India? Now before understanding as to why is it in the news, let us first understand where it is placed in the UPSC syllabus. In terms of the syllabus of your prelims examination, it can be placed under current events of national and international importance, while with regards to your mains examination, it would be placed in GS paper 3 under the section Technology in the subsection Awareness in the Field of Space. Now let us understand as to why is it in the news. Now the reason the article is in the news is because India has joined Europe's Copernicus program. Now the question is, why has India joined Europe's Copernicus program? Now the reason India has joined this program is to share Earth observation data. Now by the term Earth observation, it means that now it is the gathering of information on physical, chemical and biological systems on Earth, and this information is gathered through remote sensing technologies such as satellites. Now by remote sensing, it means the gathering of information from a distance and without making physical contact with the area or the object for which information is gathered about. Now hopefully up till here you have understood as to why is it in the news that India has joined the Europe's Copernicus program to share Earth observation data. Now let us understand about Europe's Copernicus program. Now Europe's Copernicus program mainly consists of the 6 Sentinel family of satellites. And apart from this, it also consists of contributing satellite missions of other countries. Now this Copernicus program is managed by the European Commission. Now the European Commission is the executive body of the European Union. Now the aim of the Copernicus program is to provide Earth observation data. Now this Earth observation data would be on atmosphere, marine environment, land, climate change, emergency management and on security. Now hopefully up till here you have understood that the Europe's Copernicus program consists of the Sentinel family of satellites and moreover of contributing satellite missions of other countries. Now this program is managed by the European Commission and aims to provide Earth observation data. Now let us understand as to what would be India's role. Now Indian institutions would get access to data from the Copernicus program, and this data would be used for forecasting disasters, atmospheric data, among other parameters. Now an example of this is that the Copernicus Emergency Response Mapping System was recently used during the 2014 floods in Andhra Pradesh or after the 2013 storm in Odisha, and has therefore been previously used by India for disaster management. Now apart from this, India would provide data from the Indian satellite systems. Now this data would also be on Earth observation data and would be provided from the Indian satellite systems such as OceanSat-2, Sarat, the INSET satellites, among others. Now these Indian satellite systems does not include commercial high-resolution data. Now hopefully up till here you have also understood what would be the advantages for India from joining the European Copernicus program. That several Indian institutions would get access to data from the Copernicus program, which would be used for forecasting disaster, atmospheric data, among others. Apart from this, India would also be providing data on Earth observation from the Indian satellite systems such as OceanSat-2, the INSET satellite systems, among others. And this data would not include commercial high-resolution data. Now questions have been asked previously in your UPSC examination. The questions have been asked on foreign space programs such as on ELISA, the Curiosity rover, similarly on the Voyager satellite, the Messenger satellite, the Themis mission of NASA, and therefore the Copernicus program becomes important from your prelims perspective, and India's role within the Copernicus programs becomes important from your mains perspective. Now with this, we move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from the editorial page on page 8. Now what this article talks about is the sustainable development of water, and for which the author gives the recommendation of nature-based solutions. Now the reason this article is in the news because of the World Water Day, which is on 22nd March. Now let us understand nature-based solutions for sustainable development of water. Now this nature-based solutions was given by the United Nations World Water Development Report, which was launched on 19th March 2018 during the 8th World Water Forum. Now the reason why nature-based solutions is being recommended because currently water management is currently dominated by traditional human-built grey infrastructure. And what, according to the UN World Water Development Report and according to the author, is required is nature-based solutions. Now let us understand as to what is nature-based solution. Now nature-based solutions mimic natural processes to enhance water availability. Now these natural processes can be of soil moisture retention, groundwater recharge, among other natural processes which would be used as solutions. Now apart from this, these nature-based solutions would also mimic natural formations such as wetlands, buffer strips, which would help in reducing risk associated with water-related disasters and climate change. And therefore, the current water management would now start utilizing green infrastructure, which can substitute, augment, or work in parallel with the grey infrastructure. Now, hopefully, up till here, you have understood that the nature-based solutions has been given under the UN World Development Report, which recommends the use of green infrastructure rather than the human-built grey infrastructure for water management, wherein this nature-based solutions would mimic natural processes such as soil moisture retention, groundwater recharge to enhance water availability. Similarly, these nature-based solutions would also mimic natural formations such as wetlands, buffer strips, which would help in the reduction of water-related disasters and climate change-related disasters. Now, another advantage of nature-based solutions is that it would be closely aligned with traditional and local knowledge, which would be held by the indigenous population, such as tribals, among others. Now, with regards to your UPSC syllabus, with regards to your prelims examination, it becomes important in the subsection General Issues on Environmental Ecology, Biodiversity, and Climate Change, while with regards to your mains examination, it is placed in GS Paper 3 under the Environment section. Now, with regards to your upcoming prelims examination, what you should remember is that nature-based solutions for water has been given in the United Nations World Water Development Report during the 8th World Water Forum. And now with this, we move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 1. Now the Supreme Court has issued guidelines to protect public servants and private employees from arbitrary arrest under the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Act of 1989. The Supreme Court further stated that a preliminary inquiry must be conducted before registering an FIR. And this preliminary inquiry would check whether the case falls within the parameters of the Atrocities Act and whether the case is frivolous or motivated. And therefore, according to the Supreme Court, the public servants can only be arrested after written permission of their appointing authority. And in the case of private employees, such demand must be allowed by the Senior Superintendent of Police or the SSP. Now, hopefully, up till here, you have understood that the Supreme Court has issued guidelines to protect public servants and private employees from arbitrary arrest under the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act of 1989, wherein, under these guidelines, a preliminary inquiry would be held before a FIR is filed under this Act, and this inquiry would check the purview whether this complaint is under this Act or not, and whether the complaint is not motivated or frivolous. And moreover, a public servant can be arrested under this Act after a written permission of the appointing authority, and similarly, a private employee can be arrested under this Act after it is allowed by this SSP. Now let us understand why the Supreme Court has issued these guidelines. Now the Supreme Court had observed that in the past 3 decades there have been several instances of false complaints under the ST Atrocities Act of 1989, and therefore the Act has been regularly misused to file false complaints. And because of these false complaints, the Act is being used as an instrument of blackmail and for harassment of innocent citizens, and therefore to protect public administration, which includes public servants, were threatened on the pretext of this Act, and therefore found it difficult to give adverse remarks for the fear of being charged under this Act. Now the reason this Act can be used to file false complaints and to threaten public servant because it denied anticipatory bail to the suspected offenders. Now, anticipatory bail has been defined under the Code of Criminal Procedure, wherein any person has reason to believe that he or may be arrested on an accusation of having committed a non-bailable offence. He or she may apply to the High Court or the Court of Session for grant of bail in advance. And apart from this, accusation under this Act would lead to a loss of face value and image of the accused public servant. Now, hopefully, you have also understood why these guidelines were issued by the Supreme Court. That this act was used to file false complaints and to threaten public servants, since accusation under this act would deny anticipatory bail and would also lead to loss of face value for the accused public servant. And now with this, we move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 2. Now the reason this article is in the news is because the Uttar Pradesh government intends to reintroduce the Uttar Pradesh Control of Organized Crime Bill in the Legislative Council. So from that perspective, let us understand as to what is the Uttar Pradesh Control of Organized Crime Bill. Now an understanding of this bill becomes important from your UPSC examination because questions have been asked on state laws such as the Bihar Special Courts Act of 2009, which was asked in the 2011 mains examination. Similarly, a question was asked on the features of the Uttar Pradesh Regulation of Public Religious Buildings and Places Bill of 2000, also in the mains examination. And within that aspect, let us understand the Uttar Pradesh Control of Organized Crime Bill. Now, this bill has been drafted in the similar lines as the Maharashtra Control of Organized Crimes Act of 1999. And this bill has been formulated to combat organized crimes such as land mafia, crime syndicates such as kidnapping gangs, traffickers, among others, and to control this organized crime. The bill aims to give wide-ranging powers to the law enforcement agencies, wherein this bill proposes that properties amassed through organized crimes will be taken over by the government with the permission of the court during the course of investigation, and this property would be confiscated by the state government after the conviction. The bill also proposes to extend the period of filing charge sheet by the investigative agencies from 90 days to 180 days, wherein this increased days allows the law enforcement agencies more time to investigate the crime. Moreover, this bill aims to establish a special force and special courts to expedite hearing of cases which have been filed under this act. Now, hopefully, up till here, you have understood the basic features of the Uttar Pradesh Control of Organized Crime Bill, wherein this bill seeks to combat organized crimes such as of land mafia, crime syndicates, traffickers, among others. And to combat this organized crime, it has given wide powers to law enforcement agencies, wherein illegal properties that have been amassed through such organized crimes will be confiscated by the state government after the conviction. The bill also seeks to increase the number of days to 180 for filing charge sheet. And finally, the bill also seeks to establish a special force and special courts to expedite the case that have been filed under this act. Now, this news on the Uttar Pradesh Control of Organized Crime Bill is in transition, and let us wait on how this news evolves up till the next mains examination. And with this, we move on to the next article. Now we have taken the lead editorial from page 8. Now, as you might know, the Supreme Court has recently given an interim order on the Aadhar, wherein it has allowed the extension of linking Aadhar with banks, mobiles, PAN card, etc. While on the other hand, it did not increase the deadline to link Aadhar for those who avail the services of subsidies, benefit, services under Section 7 of the Aadhar Act. Now the author questions the objective of this distinction of Aadhar linking by the Supreme Court and relates the judgment on right to privacy with this recently given interim order, wherein the author elaborates that the right to privacy is applied universally to all citizens. Then why is there a distinction with regards to the Aadhar card, wherein the court has extended the deadline on linking Aadhar to various sectors but refused to grant one for welfare schemes? Now this is an ongoing case and the matter is sub judice. So let us wait for the final judgment on the Aadhar case, which would give us better clarity and the reason for the rationale of Supreme Court's interim order. And because the matter is sub judice, we would not be analyzing the opinion that has been given in this lead article today. And therefore, we move on to the next article. Now we have taken the data point from page 9. Now what you should remember from this data point is that incidents related to left-wing extremism from the year 2015 to 2017 has actually gone down, and the number of casualties from incidents of left-wing extremism has gone up in certain states such as Chhattisgarh, wherein this fact becomes important in your GS paper 3 under the security section, that the violent act carried out by left-wing extremists has actually decreased from the year 2015 to the year 2017. And with this, we move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 13. Now what this article talks about is that India's agriculture sector has been in distress over the past few years. And to address this agricultural distress, the author has recommended a move out, move up approach. Now let us understand as to what is this move out move up approach. Now if some farmers move out from the rural areas to urban areas, then the farmers who are left behind can move up due to the improved productivity. Now this improvement in productivity would be because since some farmers have shifted from the rural areas to the urban areas, it would reduce the dependence of the large population on small holdings of agricultural land and allow the remaining farmers to increase their holding. And because of the increased agricultural holding, it would improve the agricultural productivity. Now, hopefully, up till here, you've understood the move out, move up approach that has been recommended by the author. That some farmers should shift from the rural areas to urban areas, and because of this shift, the remaining farmers in the rural areas can increase their agricultural holdings and thereby improve agricultural productivity. And according to the author, this approach has been successful in China. Now, apart from this, the author has also recommended other measures. The first recommendation is that to improve non farming opportunities in form of food processing units, trade and marketing, making construction materials for urban centers, among others. The second measure that the author has recommended is that India should promote trade in agriculture with foreign countries. The third measure that the author recommends is increase investment in agriculture research for development of new technologies. Now, hopefully, up till here, you've also understood the other measures that the author has recommended as a solution for agricultural distress. The first being to improve non farming opportunities such as food processing units, construction units, among others. The second being to improve foreign agricultural trade. And the final recommendation is to develop agriculture research and development. Now, agricultural distress is important from your mains examination point of view. And according to the author, the move out, move up approach can be given as a solution to agricultural distress. Although the recommendation of the shift of some farmers from rural areas to urban areas also has its own disadvantages, but which has not been a purview of this article. Now, with this, we come to an end in the analysis of today's paper. Now, we move on to the question for today.